You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your educational journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. When you begin the journey toward a professional credential, it is helpful to understand not only what the certification measures, but also why it exists in the first place. The Certified Information Privacy Professional for the United States, or CIPP-US, was created to establish a benchmark for privacy expertise within the unique context of American law and business practice. Its purpose is not simply to test rote memory of statutes or technical jargon, but to ensure that individuals working in the field can demonstrate mastery of a structured body of knowledge. By defining the scope of what a U.S. privacy professional should know, the credential signals to employers, clients, and regulators that its holder has been measured against an objective standard. This makes it more than a personal milestone. It becomes a professional trust signal in an area where trust is often the most valuable commodity. The International Association of Privacy Professionals, or IAPP, is the global body that administers the CIPP-US certification. Founded in the year 2000, the IAPP has grown into the world's largest community of privacy professionals, providing education, resources, and networking opportunities across multiple industries. Its role as a certifying authority means it develops and maintains the standards that define professional competence. For the CIPP-US, this includes designing the body of knowledge, writing and validating exam items, and ensuring fairness and consistency in testing. Much like how the American Bar Association sets standards for legal education, the IAPP provides a structured framework to professionalize privacy work. This lends credibility and legitimacy to the credential, because it is not self-declared expertise but rather a qualification issued by a respected global association dedicated solely to privacy and data protection. Accreditation of the credential further strengthens its authority. The CIPP-US certification is accredited by the American National Standards Institute's National Accreditation Board, or ANAB, under the international standard ISO IEC 17024. This standard sets requirements for organizations certifying individuals, ensuring their processes are fair, consistent, and defensible. In practical terms, it means that when you earn the CIPP-US, your certification is recognized as meeting a globally acknowledged quality benchmark for personnel certification. This prevents the exam from being seen as arbitrary or niche. Instead, it positions the credential alongside other respected professional qualifications across fields such as engineering, accounting, and cybersecurity. For learners, knowing the certification is externally validated assures that the effort invested in preparation leads to a credential with enduring value and recognition beyond immediate job contexts. The CIPP-US does not exist in isolation but forms part of the broader IAPP certification portfolio. The association also offers regional credentials like CIPP-E for Europe, CIPP-C for Canada, and CIPP-A for Asia, alongside specialist designations like the Certified Information Privacy Manager, or CIPM, and the Certified Information Privacy Technologist, or CIPT. Within this family, the U.S. version reflects the unique constitutional, statutory, and regulatory frameworks that shape American privacy practice. For professionals focused on the United States, it is the cornerstone certification. However, the fact that it sits within a global portfolio matters. It enables employers to compare qualifications across regions, and it allows individuals to expand their certification path over time if their careers take on an international dimension. Understanding this placement helps frame the CIPP-US as both a regional specialization and part of a global professional standard. At the heart of the exam lies the CIPP-US body of knowledge, often called the BOK. This document defines the scope of what is testable and, by extension, what knowledge areas the profession agrees are essential. It outlines domains, subtopics, and the relative emphasis of each. In essence, it is the official curriculum, much like a course syllabus in a university class. The bouquet ensures fairness by making clear what will and will not appear on the exam. For learners, it becomes the primary roadmap for study, helping to focus attention on what matters most. Without this authoritative scope, preparation would feel like guessing. With it, candidates can be confident that they are aligning their study to an agreed and published framework, reducing uncertainty and building systematic competence. The exam is not static, but evolves over time. Each year, the IAPP conducts a process of exam update and psychometric validation. This means subject matter experts review recent developments in U.S. law and practice, updating items to reflect current realities. At the same time, psychometrician specialists in the science of testing analyze how questions perform statistically across thousands of test takers. Items that are too easy, too hard, or potentially biased are either revised or retired. This ensures the exam remains both current and fair. For candidates, this process means you are not preparing for an outdated test, but for an assessment that reflects the living state of U.S. privacy law. It also means that passing is a real demonstration of competence, since the questions have been validated for consistency and reliability across diverse populations. The structure of the exam is organized into domains, competencies, and performance indicators. Domains are the broad categories of knowledge, such as the U.S. legal framework or enforcement mechanisms. Within each domain, competencies define what a professional should be able to understand or apply, and performance indicators spell out observable behaviors or knowledge elements. This tiered structure provides clarity and detail. It is similar to how a job description lists responsibilities and expected outcomes, breaking down what success looks like. For learners, this structure helps transform abstract subject matter into manageable study goals. By working through competencies and indicators systematically, candidates can measure their progress and identify areas that need reinforcement, making preparation more efficient and confidence-building. When it comes time to take the test, delivery is managed through Pearson VUE, a global leader in professional testing. Candidates have two primary options: testing at a Pearson VUE center or through online proctoring. Test centers provide a controlled environment with trained staff and secure equipment. They are designed to minimize distractions and ensure compliance with exam rules. Many candidates choose this route because it provides a structured, distraction-free setting that feels formal and official. The Pearson VUE system ensures that the technical aspects of delivery, such as timing, navigation, and question presentation, are standardized across locations. This helps maintain fairness, as every candidate experiences the exam in the same reliable format. Understanding this model helps candidates plan logistics and reduces anxiety about the testing environment. For those who prefer flexibility, the OnVUE remote proctoring system allows candidates to take the exam from their own homes or offices. This option comes with technical and environmental requirements that must be met. The candidate's computer must have a reliable internet connection, a functioning webcam, and the appropriate software installed. The testing environment must be private, quiet, and free from unauthorized materials. For example, no papers, books, or phones can be within reach, and the candidate may be asked to scan the room with their camera before starting. While this offers convenience, it also requires careful preparation to avoid disqualification. For many learners, the choice between Test Center and OnVUE comes down to balancing convenience with comfort. Some feel more secure in a controlled testing center, while others prefer the familiarity of their home environment. Identity verification and strict rules govern the testing environment regardless of delivery mode. Candidates must present valid government-issued identification, and the name on the ID must exactly match the registration. During check-in, biometric measures such as photographs or signature samples may be collected. Once inside the exam, behaviors are closely monitored, whether by staff in a test center or by remote proctors online. Unauthorized materials, suspicious gestures, or attempts to access outside information can result in immediate termination. These requirements may feel rigid, but they serve a critical function: ensuring the validity of the certification. Just as a passport secures international travel, identity verification in testing safeguards the integrity of professional credentials. Exam item formats, timing, and navigation rules are designed to standardize the candidate experience. The CIPP US exam consists of multiple-choice questions, each with one correct answer and several distractors. The timing allows for a steady pace, but it requires focus to complete within the allotted window. Navigation rules permit reviewing and changing answers before final submission, giving candidates flexibility. However, time management is crucial, as spending too long on one question can create pressure later. The structure mirrors the kind of decision-making professionals face in real work, balancing careful analysis with efficiency under time constraints. Understanding these mechanics ahead of time helps reduce surprises on exam day and allows candidates to develop strategies, such as flagging difficult questions to revisit later, rather than getting stuck in the moment. The exam includes a mid-exam break structure that is important to understand. Candidates are offered a scheduled break, but with a significant caveat. Once the first half of the exam is submitted, those answers cannot be revisited. This means that while the break provides a chance to rest and reset, it also creates a point of no return. Candidates must carefully review and finalize their first half answers before stepping away. It is similar to sealing an envelope. Once it is closed and sent, there is no going back to make changes. Awareness of this structure allows candidates to manage both their time and their mental energy, ensuring they make deliberate choices about when to pause and how to approach the two halves of the test. Scoring for the CIPP US follows a scaled model rather than a simple percentage. Raw scores, the number of questions answered correctly, are converted into a standardized scale, which accounts for variations in exam forms and item difficulty. The passing threshold is not a fixed percentage but a scaled score that reflects consistent performance across different versions of the test. This approach is common in professional certifications and ensures fairness by normalizing outcomes. For example, if one version of the test happens to include slightly harder items, the scaling process adjusts so that candidates are not disadvantaged. For learners, understanding scaled scoring helps manage expectations. Success is not about chasing a percentage, but about demonstrating competence that meets or exceeds the standardized benchmark. Results are delivered promptly but with some nuance. In many cases, candidates receive a preliminary pass or fail notice immediately after completing the exam. However, official score reports may take additional time for processing, particularly if there are quality control checks or irregularities flagged. The report provides a scaled score and often indicates performance by domain, giving candidates valuable feedback on strengths and weaknesses. This information is helpful not only for those who pass, but also for those who may need to retake the exam, as it guides focused improvement. The timeline is designed to balance the desire for immediate feedback with the need for accuracy and fairness in result validation. Once a candidate has passed, certification activation involves more than just the score. To formally hold the credential, the individual must either be a current member of the IAPP or pay an annual certification maintenance fee. This ensures ongoing connection to the professional community and supports the infrastructure needed to uphold certification standards. Membership offers added benefits such as access to resources, publications, and networking, while the fee option provides flexibility for those who may not need full membership benefits. In either case, the activation step formalizes the achievement and transitions the candidate from exam taker to certified professional, ready to display the credential as part of their career portfolio. Digital credential issuance has become a standard feature. Successful candidates receive electronic badges and certificates that can be displayed on professional networking platforms, resumes, and email signatures. These digital credentials are secure, verifiable, and easily shared, making them powerful tools for professional branding. Instead of relying solely on paper certificates which can be lost or damaged, digital badges provide instant credibility in online spaces where careers are increasingly built and showcased. They also allow employers and peers to verify the authenticity of the certification quickly. In a professional world where signals of expertise travel largely through digital channels, the ability to share and prove a credential seamlessly is a valuable feature of the CIPP US program. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. The retake policy is a practical safeguard for fairness and consistency. If a candidate does not pass the exam on the first attempt, they must wait at least 7 days before trying again. This waiting period is not punitive. It is designed to give individuals time to review, study, and close knowledge gaps rather than relying on immediate repetition. Attempting the exam too quickly can lead to repeating mistakes, while a short pause encourages reflection. It also helps preserve the integrity of the testing pool by reducing the risk of overexposure to items. Understanding this rule helps candidates plan their study schedules realistically. For instance, if one is taking the exam close to a job deadline, it is wise to account for the possibility of a retake and build in sufficient time. This perspective turns setbacks into structured opportunities for growth rather than discouragement. No-shows are handled with strict policies as well, reflecting the logistical effort required to schedule professional testing. If a candidate registers for an exam but does not appear, they forfeit both the appointment and the associated fees. Exceptions exist for extenuating circumstances such as illness, family emergencies, or unforeseen travel disruptions, but these require documentation. The reasoning is straightforward. Exam providers must allocate proctors, technical resources, and secure environments, and unused slots represent both wasted effort and lost opportunities for others. For candidates, the takeaway is clear: respect the scheduling process and be prepared to provide legitimate evidence if unexpected events prevent attendance. This policy mirrors workplace expectations, where deadlines and appointments must be honored, but flexibility can be granted when genuine emergencies arise. Recognizing this helps learners approach the certification with professional discipline. Accessibility and fairness are also supported through the special accommodations process. Candidates who have documented disabilities or medical conditions may request adjustments such as extended time, separate rooms, or assistive technology. These requests must be submitted in advance, typically with supporting documentation from a qualified professional. The timelines for submission are important, as last-minute requests may not be feasible. This system ensures that all candidates have an equitable opportunity to demonstrate their knowledge under conditions suited to their needs. It reflects the broader principle that professional credentials should measure competence in the subject matter, not an individual's ability to overcome unrelated barriers. For learners, awareness of this process highlights the IAPP's commitment to inclusivity and reinforces the importance of preparing documentation early to avoid delays. Beyond testing logistics, the certification carries professional obligations. All certificants must adhere to the IAPP Code of Professional Conduct, a framework that sets ethical expectations for behavior. This code emphasizes integrity, respect for privacy, responsible handling of personal data, and commitment to ongoing learning. By signing on to these standards, certificants are not only demonstrating technical knowledge but also pledging to uphold the values of the profession. In practice, this might mean refusing to misuse personal information even under pressure, or ensuring transparency in advising organizations on compliance. These obligations are not symbolic. Violations can result in disciplinary action, including revocation of certification. Understanding the code reminds candidates that holding the CIPP US is as much about trustworthiness and professionalism as it is about legal knowledge. The Candidate Confidentiality Agreement further reinforces exam integrity. Before taking the test, candidates must agree not to disclose exam content, replicate items, or share details that could compromise fairness. This agreement ensures that the question bank remains secure and that all test takers face an equal challenge. It is similar to how intellectual property protections guard trade secrets in business. Breaking the agreement undermines the entire system, as it devalues the credential and harms those who study honestly. For candidates, the agreement is a reminder that passing should represent personal achievement and mastery, not shortcutting the process. It also emphasizes the seriousness with which professional certifications treat integrity, setting the tone for the responsibilities that follow successful completion. Exam integrity is actively enforced during administration. Proctors, whether in person or online, have the authority to intervene if they observe suspicious activity. This can include unusual body movements, attempts to access unauthorized materials, or communication with others. Consequences can be immediate termination of the exam or later invalidation of results. The rationale is clear. The value of a certification depends on the trust that every holder has met the standard fairly. In the same way that referees ensure fairness in sports, proctors safeguard the exam environment. Candidates benefit from knowing these rules in advance, as it allows them to avoid accidental behaviors, such as glancing away too often, that might be misinterpreted. The presence of strict enforcement highlights the seriousness of the credential and prepares learners to approach the exam with professionalism. If candidates believe they have been treated unfairly, the appeals process provides structured recourse. Appeals can be filed on several grounds, including scoring disputes, content accuracy, testing status, or treatment during administration. Each category has its own requirements and evidence expectations. For example, a scoring appeal might involve a review of system logs, while a content appeal could require subject matter expert analysis. The process ensures that candidates are not left powerless in the face of perceived error, but also that frivolous challenges do not overwhelm the system. Understanding this balance gives candidates reassurance that there is accountability on both sides. It reflects the broader principle of due process, familiar in both law and professional regulation, where fairness is achieved through structured procedures rather than arbitrary decisions. In addition to appeals, candidates may raise complaints or request policy exceptions. Complaints might relate to customer service, technical issues, or environmental conditions during the test. Policy exceptions are more specific, such as seeking flexibility around deadlines due to extraordinary circumstances. Both processes require documentation and follow established channels, ensuring consistency in how concerns are handled. For learners, this highlights the professionalism of the certification program. Issues are acknowledged and addressed rather than ignored. It also encourages candidates to be proactive in communicating problems rather than silently enduring them. Much like in the workplace, where escalation pathways exist for grievances, these mechanisms create transparency and trust between the certifying body and its community. Preparation resources play a key role in supporting candidates, but they are carefully aligned to the body of knowledge. Official resources may include textbooks, online courses, and practice exams developed directly by or in partnership with the IAPP. These materials are designed to reflect the scope and emphasis of the BOK, giving candidates reliable tools for study. However, they are not substitutes for the exam itself. Using them does not guarantee success, but they help structure learning. This alignment ensures fairness. Candidates know that the resources they use map directly to the published framework. For learners, understanding the relationship between resources and the BOK helps avoid reliance on unofficial or outdated materials that might mislead rather than prepare. It is important to recognize that training materials and testable content are related but distinct. While preparation courses and guides aim to teach, the exam itself measures knowledge and application strictly within the boundaries of the BOK. Candidates may encounter nuances or details that were not emphasized in a training session but are still valid under the official framework. This distinction reinforces the principle that the BOK is the ultimate authority. Training should be seen as a tool to guide study, not as a script for what will appear on the exam. Reflecting on this distinction encourages learners to think critically and avoid the trap of rote memorization, aiming instead for deeper comprehension that can flex across different scenarios. Understanding the broader context of privacy practice helps frame the CIPP US within real-world work. One dimension of this is the role of self-regulatory models in the U.S., where industries often create voluntary codes of conduct or certification schemes to govern privacy practices. These complement legal requirements and illustrate the patchwork nature of American privacy regulation. For exam candidates, awareness of self-regulation reinforces why structured credentials are valuable. They provide an anchor in an otherwise fragmented landscape. It also prepares learners to understand how law and practice interact, with statutes providing baselines and industry initiatives filling gaps. Appreciating this context enriches the study experience and grounds the exam in professional reality rather than abstract memorization. Another important dimension is international data transfer. Although the CIPP-US focuses on American law, U.S. practitioners frequently encounter cross-border issues, such as transfers of personal data between the United States and Europe. Mechanisms like standard contractual clauses or adequacy decisions shape these flows, and U.S. professionals must understand their implications. Including this context in the orientation stage reminds candidates that privacy practice is rarely confined within national borders. It also illustrates why the IAPP maintains a global certification portfolio. Privacy work is inherently international. For learners, this awareness signals that while the CIPP-US is regionally focused, it equips professionals to engage with broader, interconnected privacy challenges. Certification does not end at passing the exam. It requires ongoing commitment through continuing professional education, or CPE, and maintenance fees. CPE credits ensure certificates stay current as privacy law and technology evolve. Activities such as attending conferences, completing training, or publishing articles can count toward these requirements. Annual maintenance fees support the infrastructure needed to keep certifications active and recognized. This ongoing cycle transforms the CIPP-US from a one-time achievement into a living professional journey. It mirrors the reality of privacy practice, where laws and norms shift continuously. For learners, understanding these obligations up front sets realistic expectations about what it means to hold and maintain the credential over time. For those seeking advanced recognition, the Fellow of Information Privacy, or FIPP, designation provides a pathway. This honor requires holding at least 2 IAPP certifications, professional experience, and peer endorsement. It signifies not just knowledge but leadership within the privacy community. Mentioning this at the orientation stage shows learners that the CIPP-US can be both an endpoint and a stepping stone. For some, it will serve as a foundational credential. For others, it will be the first of several on a journey toward higher recognition. This perspective underscores the long-term value of beginning with the CIPP-US and positions it within a broader career development path. Ultimately, the orientation episode serves as the foundation for the entire study series. Each of the policies, procedures, and context described here connects directly to the candidate experience, from scheduling to professional obligations. Understanding them early helps learners approach the material with clarity and confidence, rather than confusion or surprise. By mapping these orientation points to the upcoming domain-specific study, candidates can see how the exam environment and the body of knowledge fit together. It sets the stage for deeper exploration in subsequent episodes and emphasizes that preparing for the CIPP-US is both a technical and professional journey. This holistic perspective encourages learners to think not just about passing a test, but about shaping their identity as trusted privacy professionals. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.